Hi there everyone, Lars back finally with another D&D Insight video brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast by novice writers for novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And in this video, I want to revisit an idea that I've talked about in the past, but recently, in one session that I played in, it was just opened up to me in a whole new way.
Light bulb.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
I'm going to talk about taking breaks. Now then, the last time I talked about this, I went into how you could make the breaks really interesting for the players, how you could still make them relevant to the story, so that way it's not like pumping the brakes and just bringing everything to a screeching halt. I want to talk now about using breaks to give necessary time to breathe to your party. In the game that I am the Dungeon Master for, it shocked us actually to look back, because we've been playing for so many sessions with large breaks in between, but the last 7 sessions were all one long dungeon crawl run, complete with boss battles. Holy cow, after all of these different battles, solving puzzles, escaping crazy traps, and all of that stuff, with some massive plot revelations, characters kind of needed a break, and yet they were still within the dungeon. So, not to just be like, hi, here's a break, you guys. I created an opportunity within the dungeon with a character that I created to allow them to have a chance, should they make the right choices and the right rolls, to have a break. And boom, sure enough, they chose peace. They rolled for it. They got it. They earned it. And so they had a chance to just settle down and rest. After 7 sessions of dungeon crawling, yeah, you need a rest. And to be quite frank, normally as a dungeon master, I would not actually want to have that long of a dungeon crawl, because that does get a little bit monotonous. That gets really exhausting, and it can be very hard on the characters, because you only have so many resources. You only have so many spell slots, and people only have so much taste for action and combat. But ultimately, that's just kind of the way it ran, with the players making their choices, getting stumped by one puzzle in particular, and having to make, very daunting choices here and there. And then, of course, boss battles end up taking quite a bit of time. So it was reasonable to realize, oh yeah, we did have 7 sessions of a dungeon crawl. Yeesh, we really needed this break. And again, what I've talked about before happened right here within this session. Being able to still provide great character growth and moments for the story to move along within a break. The characters took a break, and they decided to talk to the undead wizard that's here in this dungeon. And they made some very interesting choices, had some very good rolls, and started making connections, asking some questions, and doing some things that I actually had not expected them to do. And as a result, we got a really epic lore dump within this previous session, as well as all the characters having a chance to rest up, resupply, and I'm really excited to see where we go next. But ultimately, this latest session reinforced something that it actually took me some time to learn, both as a dungeon master and as a writer. And that is this: you need to have breaks with your action. I am someone who loves the action of D&D. I love the battles. I can go for a long time doing that, and I love writing action sequences. I love writing large battles. If any of you have read my Legend of the Ten Lords series, especially with the latest books, there's just chapter after chapter after chapter of just massive battles happening. And that's something that I really enjoy writing, because I personally feel that not only is it a whole lot of fun, but you can have some great character development and plot development within those big battles. Thank you, Shonen Anime, for showing me the way. So I love action. And for me, I can sit down and read like a Dan Brown novel and not be exhausted by the end of the book because I just drink up all of that action. I go to an action movie and I'm not bored unless it's a really bad movie. And by the end of the movie, I'm walking out, I'm like, oh, I feel good. And everyone's like, I feel exhausted. So I know I'm a little bit of an exception right here. And so I had to learn through experience with people saying, please, Lars, put a break in it, to put necessary breaks within the story, especially to break up action sequences or long battles. And I wish I could have a good rule of thumb for how to make this work, but it really differs from story to story and when you're playing D&D from campaign to campaign. But I think a good thing to do as the Dungeon Master is this: make sure you're paying attention to what is happening with your players and their characters. How low on HP are they? How low on spell slots? How low on resources? And depending on the situation, you then provide for them an out should they take it. Oh, you've uncovered a door that will lead you back to the beginning of the dungeon so you can go back into town. Or, oh, there's this place, this gully that you can escape to and hide from the enemy so you're no longer being chased for the third session in a row. Or, oh, here is this ally that, remember, you guys have made before. They come in. I'm going to do it, Deus Ex Machina, just a wee bit so that way you have a chance to escape. I'm not just going to simply bamf you on out and then boom, everything is solved. You don't want to exactly do that, but you want to provide opportunities for them when you see them running really low to give them a chance, should they take it, to have that rest. Now then, you don't want to just simply pump the brakes like if there's a massive demon who you've been building up to for this entire campaign and now the chase is on. You're like, oh, you guys are really low. Well then, fine, here's a little break. Boop ba doop ba doop. Would you like some tea and some crumpets? You don't want to exactly go that route. But if you see that, oh, they're about to get steamrolled and this is not a campaign where you guys can die, you make sure you want to have that conversation before you begin that campaign. You then need to provide some kind of way within the story to let them, again, take that choice to either go into the gully, take the teleportation spell, go through that door, or just simply to turn back and go the other way, so that way they don't just keep bleeding themselves dry. Now again, you need to make sure that it's their choice because D&D is a shared storytelling experience. It's way more rewarding to the players and to their characters if they are the ones who make the choice to have those breaks, if they're the ones who make the choice to cut and run, if they're the ones who do the searching to find the way out and make those group decisions. That's really good for character development, for the group working together, for good team play. That is what makes D&D fun, and that's what keeps the story alive and fresh. When you're writing a book, it's slightly different because you don't need to necessarily give those outs to your characters because you're already kind of in charge of what's happening. You're in charge of the flow of the events, what the characters are going through. It is wise to give your characters and your readers a break from the action if it's going on for too long. For instance, though, if you have like a big battle that's going on and you don't just simply want to hit the pause button, be all like, okay, now then all the characters are going to pull back and they're going to figure things out. If it's not that kind of a story, one of the things you can do is you can do a break within the action where it's like you end one chapter with a cliffhanger and then you cut on over to other characters or to some other aspect of your story and world that allows the audience to have a breather. Whoo! And then after about chapter 2 of that, you can then jump back into the action. I know that's annoying for some readers, myself in particular, but it is necessary for the flow of the story and especially to keep the energy level and the interest level of most other readers and the audiences high. If you lose that, you might lose them before you get to the grand epic conclusion of your story. So really make sure that you're taking breaks where you need to. And if you are going to have your players go on a 7-session long dungeon crawl, you might want to signal ahead to them that that's kind of what they're getting into. Now then, within my game, I did let them know ahead of time, this is going to be one of the big dives. You guys are going on in with everyone in your group. You've made your plans for how you're going to attack the big bad evil guy and all of this stuff. You know this is going to be a long slog. And I've told them, when I do dungeon crawls, it's not just simply fighting. There are puzzles to solve. There's going to be all kinds of tricks involved. So you're going to have to think think creatively. And I have to applaud my players because they've done a phenomenal job of really just bringing the story to another level, of really playing well with every single obstacle that I've thrown at them, and just having the most fun that they can have with everything that was in that dungeon crawl. And so it taking 7 sessions was totally fine, but you want to have that conversation with your players ahead of time so that way they know what they're getting into. And again, make sure you're paying attention to where they're at, what's their HP like, their spell slots, their resources, because if the characters are beginning to get really worn down, guaranteed the players are also getting worn down. And so you want to make sure that you give them a chance again to have a break. Those breaks interspersed with the action allows people to take a breather or collect themselves and get ready for whatever comes next in the campaign, in the story. And that makes it way more engaging and way more fun in the long run than just a simple long haul marathon of action. So there you have it, my D&D insights and advice, and hopefully you can use that as well for your own stories. And if you really want to know what the heck, Lars, what are you talking about? I too love writing action. Why would I ever need a break? Go play some D&D. You'll learn what I'm talking about real fast. But in the meantime, if you're looking for more writing insights, analyses, reviews, recommendations, and the likes, then please check out our other videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support what we do here, like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and please check out the books that we've already published. I got a list of them along with links in the description below. I would absolutely love it if you checked them out, if you bought some of them, if you reviewed them. That would help us out so much. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.